on to Duke at Wake Forest. This game, I'm glad, is on the slate because you tweeted out something that Steven and I discussed on Tuesday's podcast when it came to lines being inflated and maybe looking in the other direction. Not, I hate to say, like fading the market steam.
Right.
You get a lot of
spot
anti-steam chasers.
There's a lot of terms.
Right. But sometimes a line can be inflated with a spot where you want to take a look at the other side. I'm not saying I'm looking in that direction because my counter to you with that would be there are games where it's the antithesis, where like Utah State and San Diego State, Aggies close as around a 3-point home favorite and they win the game by 2 or 3 possessions against the Aztecs. So it can go both ways, but I definitely understand your sentiment when it comes to maybe the market steaming a line too much, especially in some of these situational spots where that wasn't the case 4 or 5 years ago, at least when it comes to the college basketball betting market. But Duke at Wake Forest projected to be about a 1-point favorite. Haslam makes this Wake Forest 75, Duke 74.1, so right around Wake Forest -1. My numbers have this closer to Duke -1, but again, I think you're going to be paying a premium for the spot with Wake. I would prefer to just not touch this game. My raw numbers don't really have any sort of an edge here. Like we saw with New Mexico and Colorado State, granted on Wednesday night, that was a 3-possession line, but that was kind of the point that I was bringing up from the get-go.
Right. In
terms of this game, sometimes a line can be inflated to the point where New Mexico wins, good spot for the Lobos, but Rams cover.
Right. No, I think, there's no science there. It's about the furthest I go into what I call reading the tea leaves of the market. It's not ever going to be exact. If tailing steam or fading steam was a way that you could easily profit, they would steam it more, right? Like that's the whole idea. So I'm always sort of trying to look at it in just sort of maybe a little bit more of a meta sense, try to, understand anecdotally the way the market has shifted, the way that, people look at certain models, how KenPom is used, revered, used setting openers versus the way it was years ago. We've kind of come full circle. So it's always a battle, and I think it's always good to be thinking about it. I'm not 100% set on anything. We saw another one of those spots work out in an interesting way where, Colorado State and New Mexico, like you said, it's just, you never really know. So I'm not set any which way. This game right now for me, shot quality's data pretty much lines up with where you're at. Slight edge for Duke here. But if I'm going to have to take a -2, -3 for Wake Forest, yeah, I'm definitely looking away. I would maybe think that Duke on the money line might just have a little bit too much value, but this is a clash of the taxes, of the spot taxes, because you're never really, Duke is one of those teams that I believe can sometimes have just like a favoritism, penalty almost, where a lot of people bet Duke. Books know that. It's like the Yankees. Sometimes some of these teams, it's hard to get an actual edge on them by the percentages based on, what some of these models have. So I'll stay away from this one. The ACC is an interesting conference, but Wake has the defense to stop Duke, especially in their own building. So I could see them getting the win. It's a big pass. This is going to be a great game. Wake Forest, an exciting team. This should be a great matchup.
Yeah, and Duke has won 5 in a row, including an 8-point win over Wake Forest.
Yep.
Going back to the beginning of that 5-game streak, I think, at Cameron, and Wake Forest coming off of a big win over Pitt. That was kind of not a similar spot, but still bounce back spot for Wake after getting not blitzed, but losing in pretty drowning fashion at Virginia over the weekend by 2, covering some numbers. I think that line closed 3 at some shops, but Wake Forest actually put up the best performance on offense in ACC play in the KenPom era. Speaking of KenPom records, on Tuesday night, 1.44 points per possession against Pitt. And going back to that first meet against Duke, Wake shot 6 of 26 from behind the arc. This isn't necessarily a 3-point reliant Wake Forest offense, but I think Duke is due for some 3-point regression, similar to what we saw with UConn on Tuesday night, allowing a 27 or 21.7% 3-point clip on corner threes and 24.5% on above the break threes during this 5-game winning streak. So if Monsanto and Hunter Salas, one of the more underrated transfers really in college basketball, coming over from Gonzaga, are on from 3, I think Wake gets it done, but I think we're both on the same page here that the market is going to steam Wake pretty hard.
Yeah, I do think they will. I think, probably, again, good stay away. Enjoy that game. ACC has been very interesting. Maybe look towards, I want to say an under, but I'm not really sure. I like your point on the 3-point regression, though, Duke, definitely. Teams shooting 30% against them right now in conference play. Shot quality is going to tell you it should be about 34%, working out to about a 3.4% difference. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Threes are really valuable. If teams, are getting cold against you, you're going to have a better opportunity to look good, win games, and it might not necessarily just be your defense. So it's cool to try to separate that, right? Are we just getting lucky? Are they playing good defense? I think that's one of the fun questions shot quality can help you answer.
Yeah, and if Monsanto is on, one of the best pure shooters in the country, and he's starting to, I think, get healthy. So that's a pretty big deal for Wake Forest. And also, you mentioned the Demon Deacs. Their defense has really come on in ACC play of late for sure.